You're listening to The Upland Rookie, a podcast presented by Upland Brits. The same approach means the same results. Pretty simple, right? That's why Eukanuba imagined a new kind of canine nutrition over 50 years ago, and why they continue to now. The new premium performance lineup harnesses the power of nutritional science to create formulas that hold nothing back. Check them out at eukanubasportingdog.com. Welcome to episode 2 of the Upland Rookie podcast. I'm your host, Will Larson, and before I get started, I just have to say a big thank you to every person out there who has messaged me, who has left a review on Apple Podcast. It's meant the world to me. From the response of episode 1 that dropped last week, it just got me so encouraged and just excited for what's to come with the Upland Rookie podcast. I have to thank my sponsors, Eukanuba Premium Performance Dog Food. Check them out at eukanubasportingdog.com. I've been feeding my dogs the 30-20 blend for a few months now. They've been doing great on it. Energy levels have been fantastic. Highly recommend the Eukanuba 30-20 Premium Performance. On today's episode, I get to talk with Nick Martin, the Iowa bird chaser, all about his adventures and his goals of harvesting a rooster in all 99 counties of Iowa. Now, that's not all we talk about. We talk about a whole bunch of things, including turkey hunting, his love for his bird dog, and a little bit about his season coming up. And I don't know about you, but hearing about Nick's goal of harvesting a rooster in all 99 counties of Iowa, it's got me so excited. It's got me inspired to get out there even more this coming season. And what more I'm hoping is that it helps you or can inspire you to set some goals for maybe this coming season for you. Maybe some goals for you and your dog or a group of people that you hunt with. I hope this can encourage you. Maybe you can set a goal of harvesting a bird. Maybe you haven't harvested a bird before, or maybe you haven't hunted a state that you've always wanted to try. Maybe this can inspire you to make plans, put pen to paper, and try to accomplish your own personal goals. Before we jump into the interview, I have a listener question. This is from This Dog Hunts on Instagram. They write, "What made you love the Brittany?" Whew, could be a long question or a long answer to that question. I fell in love with the Brittany back when I first got started upland hunting. I was hunting on a preserve or a hunt club with my dad, and the hunt club provided a guide for us as neither of us had our own dogs. We were kind of just getting into it. And this guide, Bill, had 2 Brittany's. Their names were Gage and Ace, and Bill was fantastic. I still call him probably my hunting mentor. I knew him for several years. He attended my dad's funeral when my dad passed away a few years ago, and Bill and I have stayed in touch over the years. We talk bird dogs. We talk about, he's still guiding in Illinois. Really love this guy, Bill. But I fell in love with these dogs, watching them work the field and retrieve, and watching them go on point, and also seeing them back at the truck, seeing them in the lodge that we'd hang out in after a hunt, and just see how their temperament was. I loved it. I fell in love, and you can call it nostalgia or whatnot, but I did fall in love with the breed. And I told myself if I ever got a bird dog that it would be a Brittany. So sure enough, when it came time for us to get a dog and get a bird dog, let alone, I saw a litter of Brittany's come up, and I just knew it was for me. And ever since, I've been building my my personal dogs here. I have a French Brittany and an American Brittany, and I love the breed. I don't foresee changing that. There are some amazing dog breeds out there that I would love to own, hunt over, you name it. I think whatever dog gets you out into the uplands is the right dog for you. It does not have to be a Brittany. It can be whatever dog you enjoy hunting with that helps you find game and it helps you have a great time out in the field is the right dog for you. So this dog hunts. Thank you so much for writing in. If you have a question, feel free to message me on Instagram at upland_Brits or shoot me an email at uplandbrits@gmail.com. Still getting used to saying that. Anyways, we're going to jump into the interview with Nick Martin.
Last year, well, 2019 technically.
Yeah.
No, actually, it was 2020. We were in Minneapolis in February, and then March, the world shut down.
Oh,
so it was like we were at an event with 100,000 people, and then not even 30 days later, they're like, you can't be around anybody 6 feet.
Oh my God.
I'm like, I survived.
That's where it started.
Yeah. But my wife went up there and she was like, you know what I would call that? That's like a man's craft show. Because I go to craft shows with her and I call them craft shows.
Yes, you told me this. We were talking about this on
Yeah. So if you've never been, Will, I think it's great to go.
Oh,
and just to see the different that's kind of what I like to nerd out on, as I'm a big gear junkie. So I just to see all the new products coming on the market.
Oh, dude, this might be a long conversation if we're both gear junkies.
That's okay.
Dude, I am pumped.
Me too.
I like your Iowa bird chaser hat too. That's sweet. I just
appreciate it.
I just got these Upland Brit ones. I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah.
Not too
long
ago.
Sick.
I know it turned out really good.
The Brit on the rock, is that like a mountain?
Yeah. My brother designed it. Turned out really good. I told him a very little about what I do. He's not a hunter, which is the funny part. And he's threw some mountains in there for Colorado, and it turned out great. So
that's awesome.
It's a funny
story.
Do you
follow the Ringnecks and Retrievers?
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yep.
Okay, so I just came when I was telling you I had a little network meeting. I just came with Tyler from Ringnecks and Retrievers.
Oh, nice.
I just came from meeting with him. He lives in the same town that I do.
Oh, I didn't know you guys were that close, because the first time I met you, it was on the Power Hour, like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever even heard of you. And I was like, oh, who is this Nick guy?
Yeah. Those things have been awesome. He just did another one. That thing was great.
Yeah.
There wasn't too many people on the last one. I know it kind of dictates everyone's schedules, but it's just what I like to hear is just where everybody else is coming from. Because I mean, a lot of people have these different Instagram accounts, some of the more prominent people, but I just like meeting guys like yourself and myself that are just out there kind of hitting it and working it. And what's your experience? What can you share with me that I can learn from, and vice versa?
I mean, dude, that's why I started this podcast to some degree. Was I'd be listening to podcasts and I'll just blaze through so many hours of podcasts, and they've actually been a huge part in just my story and getting into upland hunting and bird dog training. And so they've been really valuable to me. So I'm like, there's questions like as I'm listening, I'm like, oh, I wish I would ask this to this person or ask that. And so I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Let me just start my own and talk with people and just talk bird dogs and hunting. That's really my goal.
And I think that, I think if you're in the bird dog community, you can feel like there's a lot of podcasts out there, but in my opinion, there's really not. And so I think it's great that you're doing this, Will, and just adding to the toolbox as far as, upland hunting and talking to fellow hunters that we can all listen to while we're out there on the road and just learn from each other. I think, I'm a big proponent. We'll probably talk about this a little bit in the podcast, but I'm a big believer in, we cannot continue as hunters, kind of a mouthful there, without each other. And I know I'm just like everybody else. We don't want to give away our honey holes, but at the same time, if we don't share information with one another, we're a dying breed, unfortunately.
Oh, dude, you are so right with that. Even when it comes to, not just hunting, but dog training, I would not. And again, I'm a below average dog trainer when it comes to
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. And working them. But I wouldn't even be where I am now if it wasn't for some mentors in my own life. And then also the upland community online and through Instagram. I'm just like, hey, my dog's doing this, or I ran into this issue. Like, it's just so cool to have people that are similar, going through similar things. So you can bounce ideas off, or just be like, hey, I had a really shitty training time with my dog. Like, what do I do? So that's a really cool aspect.
Absolutely.
Well, dude, let's back up a tiny bit. We just got started here right off the gun. Tell us a little about who you are, and also just put us on a map. Where are you in the country?
Okay, perfect. So I'm in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So kind of more on the eastern side of the state of Iowa, if anybody's familiar with our state. And it is a town of about 150,000 people. So, not a big metropolis area, but, definitely not a small town, Iowa town.
Okay.
More of a city.
How close are you to the Illinois border?
So I'm about an hour and 45 minutes from the Illinois border.
Okay. So I grew up in Chicago, so not super far away, but.
Yep. So it takes me about 3.5 hours to get to Chicago. I actually lived there for about a year when I was a little younger.
Oh, nice. Right on. And then last question, how close are you to Pella, Iowa?
Pella, Iowa, we're about 2 hours, I would say.
Okay, cool. Because that's where I got my my French Brittany from last September. Drove out to
Pella.
Yeah.
What kennel was that?
That was out of Trinity Kennels.
Okay.
It's Josh and John, maybe. I'm blanking on the names, but great family, great dogs. So definitely, I'll rave about them. Well, awesome, man. So I got to ask you. Tell me, so again, I met you the first time on the Ringnecks and Retrievers Power Hour a couple months back, and everyone was kind of mentioning this challenge, this Iowa challenge that you're doing. Tell us a little bit about that, because I've dug into it a little bit more. I think I know what it is, but why don't you explain to everyone, what is this Iowa challenge of harvesting a bird in every county? Is that true?
Yeah, so I'm on a goal to harvest a rooster on public land in every county in Iowa, and there's 99 counties in the state of Iowa here. Now, it's interesting, Will, you bring the word out challenge, because, I look at this more as a journey. There are some gentlemen that have reached out to me here locally and said, well, I'm going to get there before you, or this or that. And I say, congratulations to you if you do. That's great. But if I can recommend one thing, is stop and enjoy the journey. And that's a key word I keep focusing on, is the journey, because that's exactly what this is it's a journey. And there are other people that have probably done this. I have not heard of anybody that has done this before, but I do know a couple of fellow hunters that are on this journey themselves in trying to harvest a rooster in every county. And of course, I'm competitive, just like a lot of us are, but at the same time, I just don't want to get caught up in this becoming a challenge and how quick can we achieve this? Because for me personally, the biggest thing, and we'll probably touch on this a little later, is spreading the word about bird hunting in Iowa, and how, we can be, so to speak, an overlooked opportunity. And then also just, the opportunity of continuing upland hunting, as it is a dying sport, I feel like, and, sharing the opportunities with the younger generation. And, if you are interested in getting into hunting, there are people like myself out there that are willing to help and get you engaged and point you in the right direction. So you can, maybe when you get a little older, get your first bird dog and just kind of continue on the path of, conservation hunting and all of the above. So
that's awesome, man. So I have a couple follow-ups with that. First off, I love your outlook on it. I love your outlook of, it's really a journey, not a race. Like, let's enjoy this while we're doing it. It's just something you can set a goal for yourself, and hey, for you're going to try to achieve that goal and have fun along the way. So kudos to you. I think that's really cool. A key thing you said in the beginning was public land. That is awesome. So is there public land in 99 counties that you know of?
So there's public land in 99 counties in the state of Iowa. The bigger question is, are there pheasant on public land in all 99 counties of Iowa?
Okay.
And that is something that Todd Bogan shoots. He's the head of upland hunting with Iowa DNR. I've spoke to him briefly a while ago, and he said, that's an ambitious goal you have. Good luck with it. And, kind of keep me posted along the way. And so I guess my point of that is he was kind of saying, there are going to be some tougher counties to try to harvest these birds in, but at the same time, I don't want to overuse the word journey, but it is a journey, it is a story, and it is a process. So
Sure.
I kind of how I envision things looking, because this is going to be going over multiple seasons. How I envision things looking is maybe it will get to there's 10 to 15 counties left, and they are the tough ones that don't have roosters on the public ground, or if they do, it is very hard and few and far between. So maybe that becomes, maybe the story or the journey becomes more of me building a relationship with the farmer and, telling the story of their family farm, maybe over 100, 150 years, depends how long they've had it, century farms per se.
Sure.
And just talking about, maybe more showcasing just kind of the process of how to build a relationship as a hunter from the city that doesn't have access to public ground, or excuse me, private ground.
Sure.
And how to get in there, how to get into private ground. Because there are opportunities in Iowa to be had on private ground, but it's all about developing relationships and making it reciprocal.
It's about knocking on that door, keeping the farmers happy. And like you said, building those relationships.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. So where, you might have said this already, but where are you currently with this journey? How many counties have you checked off?
So 2020 was my first, 2021 was my first season going after this. And I set a goal of myself for 10, and I fell short of 1. I'm at 9,
Nice.
Which when you think of 9 of 99, that may not sound like a lot, but every goal, you got to take it in small bite-sized pieces.
It's a start. It's a start.
Absolutely. Now, if I could have hit this last season, I probably would be at 15, Will. So, if I could shoot, I would be at 15 and I would have smashed my goal because I definitely had the opportunities out there, and I learned a lot to take me ahead next season into some spots I can go back to and probably redeem myself, so to speak.
So wait a second. You mean you actually miss birds you shoot at? What? Come on, man. I thought
believe
we
it
hit
or
everything.
Not,
we hit
happen.
everything.
Even with a pointing dog, as prepared as they say you should be. Believe it or not, these birds are still, wild and on public land, and they have a mind of their own.
Oh man. Every time I hear of like a bird miss, I go back to this past season. I was where was I? Kansas or Nebraska? I forget. I think I was very southern Nebraska, hunting on the border of Kansas. And I just went out with my dog and I. And it was a layup rooster. Actually, 2 flushed at one time. They kind of split off. In my mind, I'm like, oh, all right, I'm going to take the one on the left for whatever reason, and then I'll take the one on the right. I was feeling so confident. Blew both my shots on the one on the left. And I couldn't have been more than 10, 15 yards, if that. It just kept on going.
So I don't understand why that is the way that it is, but for me as well, Will, is it seems like most of the shots I miss are the layups. That is the one my dog holds the best point on, and the gun decides to go click or whatever.
Yep. Just gut wrenches me every time I think about it. Okay. Sorry, last thing on this. I don't want to spend too much time, but just what made you want to start this? Like, was it something you heard about someone try, or like what made you like, hey, I want to set this goal for myself?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great question, Will. And what really kind of spiraled this whole thing is I'm probably going to butcher what the whole goal was, but Anthony Farrow of Fetching Feathers, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's pretty prominent on Instagram in the Upland community, but in 2019, I believe he harvested a goal. I think it was 6 species in 6 seasons or something like that. I mean,
I vaguely remember something like that. Yeah.
It was a phenomenal. I wish I could remember it, and it's sad that I can't, because it was a feat that many people don't accomplish.
Sure.
But I heard this, and it kind of got my gears going as far as, you've bird hunted your whole life. You've shot tons of pheasants and other species. What can you do now that you're developing as a hunter and getting older and have my own bird dog now to just do something different? And I said, so I came up with, well, we have 99 counties in Iowa. Why don't you push yourself and try to grow as a person? We all grow when we're uncomfortable, right? So why don't you try to push yourself and go to places you've never seen and in your own state, hunt types of habitat you've never hunted before and things like that. And so that kind of got me thinking about it. But it was actually at that Pheasant Fest in Minneapolis in 2020 last year in February. I actually met with Anthony up there, and he said, well, you're going to document this journey, right? And I just kind of laughed, and I said, no, absolutely not. I'm going to accomplish this. I'm going to look back and be like, gosh, me and my dog are pretty badass and we did this, but we live in Iowa, and Iowa's kind of, a flyover state, what some people think. And he's like, no, dude, like, I think that people are going to want to follow this journey and this process. You need to document it.
That's awesome.
And I'm not big on like Facebook and those other accounts,
Sure.
but I love Instagram and I love taking pictures. I'm not great at it, but I enjoy it. And so it was a little bit after the Pheasant Fest that I came up with the Iowa Bird Chaser name and just said, well, Anthony said I need to document it, so I better document it. So I don't want to give all the credit to him, but at the same time,
he gave you that nudge.
If I wouldn't have, if I wouldn't have ran into him and had that little push by him to say, dude, you're inspiring me just hearing about this. You need to showcase it and show it to all of us as you go through this, because there are going to be so many ups and there's going to be way more downs. And I think that's what's lacking in the Upland community, especially in social media, is everybody wants to show the picture of all the birds on the tailgate. But what happens between opening day and getting those birds on the tailgate? There's a lot that happens, and there's a lot of guys that aren't telling that story. And so through my Instagram stories, I'm trying to kind of showcase that a little better. And then I do have a YouTube channel, which that's where my main passion is, even though I'm not great at it. My YouTube account, that's where I put my heart and soul into these videos and really showing like me out there, the raw.
Yeah. I was going to say, I was scrolling through some of your videos and checking out some of your YouTube stuff, and definitely want to talk about that a little bit more. I want to back up a little bit though, before we move ahead. Just tell me a little bit about, did you grow up hunting? Did you grow up in a hunting family? Were you what they call an adult onset hunter? Like, just tell me a little bit of your story, like how and why, or do you have a bird dog? Why do you love upland hunting? Yeah. And I know you do some other kind of hunting as well. So maybe expand on that a little bit.
So, Will, I really appreciate you asking me that question, because I've been on a few podcasts. I think that's something that I have not touched on enough, and that's my own doing. I just have not thought on it, but I did grow up hunting pretty much my whole life. Now, one caveat to that I want to say is me and my dad, and I tease my dad for this, but me and my dad bird hunted pretty much since almost I could walk. I would follow him around. Then when I got a little older, I'd carry a BB gun, and after him and my brother and uncle and those guys would shoot birds, I'd get to it was already dead, but I would get to shoot it with the BB gun to feel important.
Give you that confidence.
Right. And eventually, that got into middle school where I got my own shotgun. But, it was just critical for me growing up hunting that instilled the passion. But what I wanted to comment on is, even though I've hunted my whole life, I have not become, smart's the wrong word, but I have not become an educated hunter until the past couple of years. And what I mean by that is, me and Dad always knew where the birds were. And so we'd go hunt and we'd shoot the birds and we'd come home. We never looked at what kind of crop are they next to? What kind of habitat are they in? What's the weather like? This or that. We just knew where to go, and we knew where to go from scouting, I guess. Dad kind of knew, walking around, knocking on doors with farmers. We're now becoming more of a public land hunter. I've had to learn different species of plants, different grasses, and understand habitat a lot more to become successful in this public land field. So I just think that's important for me to touch on, is just because I'm a lifelong hunter, I don't think a lot of my success is equated to being a lifelong hunter. The only thing that instilled in me was my passion for hunting, and now becoming more educated and learning with tools like Onyx and different apps and different, YouTube and different hunters showcasing tips and tricks for us. We all learn from each other, I think. And that's really what's helped me grow in the past few years as far as hunting. So even though I have been a lifelong hunter, I didn't grow up on all that.
Yeah.
And as far as you just touched on hunting some other things, my main focus is bird hunting. I love bird hunting. We grew up hunting pheasant. That was what we did. Dad was never a deer hunter. So deer hunting's just been new to me since about 2017. It's something I've gotten into. I just got my first buck this last year. I'm mainly a meat hunter. Thank you.
That's awesome.
It's just a small one, but I'm mainly a meat hunter, so I go out there and just try to harvest some meat to put in the freezer.
Yeah.
And then of course we do the turkey and the pheasant as well. So we do hunt multiple species. I try to do some coyote hunting. I've done that for about 2.5 years. I got the nice electronic call and everything, but
no luck yet.
Figure that out.
Okay.
They holler back at me. They're about 100 yards and they'll
you're getting close,
but I just cannot get them called in.
Yeah. Well, if you can hear them, that means you're getting closer. So keep at it. Keep at it. You touched on turkey. I was going to ask you about that. I think this afternoon you posted a picture of your hand next to a turkey track. Dude, that thing was huge.
So
that track was unreal.
So in that moment, I have been corrected. In that moment, I thought I had come upon God's largest turkey.
I did
and
too.
I thought,
was freaking out.
There's no way we are not hunting this opening day. Opening day's Monday in Iowa for us, the 12th. There's no way we are not pulling the boat in here and hunting this bird. Well, I've had a couple people reach out to me since on Instagram that have informed me graciously of them. They were not being know-it-alls.
Sure.
They have graciously informed me that was a blue herring track. And I have done some Google research, and they are correct that is a blue herring track.
Okay.
But next to those, which was not on my Instagram,
there were some
true turkey tracks.
Okay.
But yes, next to my hand, when I saw that, I'm thinking, yep, we just found Godzilla.
I was like, oh, that's 100% turkey. I'm like, this dude is going to find a 35-pound bird or something.
Absolutely, Will. I completely agree. And in the I had two people reach out, and the first one that reached out said, I am not trying to be a jerk and know it all. But I hunted turkeys 2 years ago, and I saw all these tracks on a sandbar, and I thought I found the honey hole, and it turned out they were blue herrings. So he said, learn from my experience when I'm sitting there trying to call blue herrings and nothing showed up. And so I did a quick Google search, and I was like, I think that gentleman is correct.
That makes sense.
But regardless, that is a massive.
It was cool.
Track.
It was a cool track.
track.
I also, staying on turkey for a minute, I wanted to ask you, so it looks like you've been doing a lot of work. You have like a little John boat or a little trolling boat.
Yeah. So I just got a little 16-foot John boat, 20-horse motor.
So how are you using that to hunt turkey? Are you just using that to get further quicker, or how are you using that in conjunction with hunting turkey?
So a lot of the land that I actually hunt is accessible by foot. But what I do is I hunt large sections, usually hundreds, if not thousands of acres that line rivers. And I use the boat to access different areas that guys are not willing to walk into.
Okay, there you go.
I feel like a lot of guys are not willing, most guys are not willing to walk more than 1.5 miles, 2 miles into the timber. If you get 2 miles back into the timber, you're usually going to get into some untouched territory. Okay. Now, I have walked 4 to 5 miles back into timber and thought I'm the only one here, scout around, make my little makeshift blind. And then right when I'm ready to leave, I see boot tracks in the mud. And I'm like, really?
Oh, not the only one.
Yep. So really it's just more about trying to come in from a different angle that other guys don't think about or don't have the capability to do. Cause I have just been recently turned on to having a boat. So prior to that, I was the guy on boot as well, having to hike in.
Gotcha. Dude, that's awesome. Good luck this season. It starts on a Monday. Is that right?
So our first season goes Monday through Thursday. Yep.
Oh, okay. So like they have short little seasons?
So we do, yeah. In Iowa, the first season is about 4 days. I think the second one maybe goes for 5 to 7. And then the third season's maybe 10 days. And then fourth season, we get about a month. So
Gotcha.
So they go in, they kind of stagger a little longer each season.
Okay.
Now, depending on what season I choose to go to, really depends on what I'm seeing in the timber. A lot of times if it gets warmer faster and we're getting a lot of rain and a lot of heat, the grass and the timber and stuff will get taller faster. So sometimes in these spots by second season, the grass is a foot tall. And by the time you sit down, you can't even see.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of that dictates when I go. I will just throw this in. If anybody's listening in turkey hunts, take note of this. A couple of years ago, me and my dad were like, for sure, we're going first season no matter what. Went and bought our tags. Iowa this time of year can be hit and miss with weather. And those 4 days, it snowed all 4 days, and those birds were non-responsive and were not mating or doing anything.
Oh, geez.
Then our hands were cuffed until we could get to fourth. In Iowa, you can hunt one season, first through third, and then everybody can hunt fourth as well.
If you want to. So since you already got the first season, you had to wait all the way.
Yep. That last so month. You got to wait a good about month or 3 weeks until fourth season again. So there's a lot of guys in the timber, a lot of grass growing, a lot of things change in that time.
That's a good amount of time for things to start shifting around.
So we've changed our mind to now basically our opening day is on Monday. Since I'm a resident, there's no limit on tags. So we'll go get our tag on Friday or Saturday once we can see what the weather forecast is going to look like. Now, smart. Luckily, I have a job where I can kind of float as far as work goes, and I can make last minute decisions like that. And my dad can float with his job as well.
Nice.
But we'll try to stay hunting during the week, especially early Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, in any season, even pheasant, because a lot of people are at work those days, and you don't have a pressure.
Absolutely. I used to have a work schedule where I was off on Thursdays and Fridays. And then a long time ago, I had a schedule. I was off on like Mondays and Thursdays. Ooh, it was really nice for hunting purposes. I would see no one out there. And if I did, it was some really old retired guy who was super nice. So it was meet some cool people. Okay. I want to transition to that fur ball you got sitting over your left shoulder over there.
I was going to adjust the curtain earlier. I'm thinking, oh gosh, that's annoying me. It's not closed all the way. And I'm thinking that's what she does. She looks out the window and moves the curtain.
I
now
think
she knows we're talking about her.
I think she heard us making fun of her or me making fun of her. Okay. Tell us a little bit about your dog. And is it correct? It's a German wire hair pointer.
So it's actually a wire hair pointing griffin. So a little different, looks a lot like a German wire hair pointer. I actually cannot tell them apart in my NAVDA group. And I think I offend some people because of that. But this is a wire hair pointing griffin. She just turned 3 here at the end of March. And she is on really about her second full season of bird hunting. Her first year, we didn't really take her out too much.
Just wanted to take a moment and thank Dakota 283. If you're looking for your next kennel, a forever puppy insert, and only want to buy one kennel for the rest of your dog's life, then look no further than Dakota283.com. Be sure to use my promo code TUR10 for 10% off your order today. Okay, right on. Is this your first bird dog, or have you had dogs growing up or prior, or is this your first one?
So growing up, Dad had some bird dogs. He had a Brittany, German short hair, and he always did a lot of training with those dogs himself. So I was never involved in that. And it was never really formal. It was just more or less if the dog can go out there and find a bird to the point where we know we can walk up and flush it and shoot it. We never really did retriever training or anything like that. But I still hunting with those dogs and seeing like, oh my gosh, that dog just went out there and found a bird and then we shot it like that. It all goes back into me walking around with that BB gunning and instilling that passion and just seeing the enjoyment, or I guess feeling the enjoyment of seeing the dog work and then getting the reward at the end. So this is my first bird dog.
Okay. And what led you to this breed? Did you know exactly what you wanted? Did you shop around and do your research, or what was kind of your thought process around getting your first dog?
So that's a great question. This is my first bird hunting dog, but prior to this, I had a German short hair pointer that I rescued at 2 years old that my plan was to become a bird dog. Okay. And that dog was gun shy. And that was the last dog we had when I was in high school, as a German short hair pointer. And that was kind of the main breed we had growing up other than the one Brittany. And so was always a big GSP fan, as many bird hunters are. That's a very popular breed. But my dad had transitioned to the Griffins because they're a little more hyperallergenic and they don't shed as much as the GSPs.
Oh, nice.
And so my dad had his dog for about a year and I had hunted behind it with him and just saw how good it worked and how great of a dog it was. That I said, man, when I'm ready to get one, I'm probably not going to go with a GSP. I'll probably go with a Griffin. And the other thing too is the GSPs, the German short hairs, a lot of those dogs, and this isn't a knock on them, it just is what it is those are high energy dogs. And you can run those dogs for an hour. Oh, and that's just getting
2 hours. Yeah,
exactly. An hour is just getting them warmed up, and they're ready. Yeah, like you said, Will, they're ready for that second hour, that third hour. that's when they're really breaking in.
Sure.
And not that these guys are, not as high energy, because they have plenty of energy and can go all day. The energy is never an issue with them, but they're more chill. If you're chill at night, they're chill. They don't need that.
Yeah, she is basically passed out just on top of your couch.
She's just chilling out the window, and unfortunately she hasn't had a walk or anything today. It's been kind of a hectic day just with turkey scouting season coming up. She's kind of just been chilling.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Talk about kind of like, what's her hunting style? Is she close range, far range? And also, what training have you done, or did you use a pro trainer? Like, talk a little bit about the training side.
Yeah, so I'm all, as far as training goes, I'm all self-trained. A lot of my training comes from just community training. And what I mean by that is just people like you, myself, everybody giving me their different opinions and just trying different things and seeing what works and rolling with that. Now, the Griffin, in my opinion, is I don't want to say very, because that's a strong word, but they're a slower, more methodical hunter. Okay. And more of a closer range dog. So 50 yards is getting out there for the ones that I have seen. Sure. Now, don't get me wrong, because when I say this, a lot of GSPs, I feel like a good GSP can range 75, 100 yards all day. And when they find a bird, they'll lock down and wait for you to walk 100 yards.
Sure.
These dogs, they like to be more, I'd say 40, 50 yards is kind of right in their wheelhouse. They don't ever get super close. They're not working 20 yards in front of you where you're flushing at yourself.
Stepping on them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but they like to get out there. But what I have learned on the ones that I have seen is they're more of a methodical hunter, and they like to take their time. So you cannot rush these dogs. At least my dog, you cannot rush it. So once you start to learn their body language, like we all know our dog's body language. Yep. Once you start to learn her nose is up, she's getting on a scent, I just stop. And I just let her figure it out. Let her just, sometimes she'll go to the right. And I think guys will just start walking to the right because their dog went to the right. Well, a lot of times she'll come back, and it's till they get on that track, right? Because they smell it, but they're figuring out exactly where did that bird go.
Direction.
Yep. So they're a little more, slower, methodical. And then as far as the training goes, that's just been, I'm part of a local NAVDA group. And then I also have a good friend that I've met through mutual friends who ended up also having Griffins. And he lives on the western side of the state. So it's quite a bit of a drive, but we'll get together every couple months and kind of put our dogs through some different obstacles.
Nice. Right on, man. I just want to use that an opportunity. You said something really key, I think, especially to any like new hunters, new dog owners who are out there. I think the thing you said was watch your dog's body language, pay attention to it and learn it. I'm just kind of summarizing there. I think that's really, really key, but also kind of don't get in your dog's space either. I think a lot of times, I mean, I know I'm guilty of this 100% when I was, starting out, and I think I've learned a little bit since, but you got to kind of let your dog do its thing. You said it, it's going to the left, and a lot of guys are going to be like, oh my gosh, I need to run over to the left. Well, just watch your dog, see what they're doing, because chances are they're going to come back to the right. They're going to go forward, behind, because they're trying to figure things out. So just I don't know, unsolicited advice to anyone. I think pay attention to your dog's body language for sure.
Well, and just, I tease my dad all the time because he has a great dog. As much as I bust his balls sometimes for different little twerks his dog has, just like my own. What I tell him all the time is he'll just get walking and he's just watching up. And I'll look at him and I say, what are you looking at? And he'll go, well, I don't know. I'm walking. And I say, exactly. The dog is the hunter. The dog is going to find the bird before us. So watch what the dog is doing. Not only follow it, but does the dog look excited? Is it like, you know what I mean? Because sometimes their tails get going when they start tracking.
Yeah.
And he's such in this old school mindset of how I explained us growing up is the birds are going to be here and we just walk and all of a sudden they'll flush and we'll shoot them. Well, it's changed. We're on public land now, Dad. And we're like,
you gotta
not
be
that
ready.
We're taking it more serious, but you need to be more ready.
Yeah. You gotta be more ready.
Yeah.
Because if you're not watching your dog, and because like to Gage, my older one, when he gets birdie, you can see muscles just puff up in his hind legs and his shoulders. He gets a little bit about 2 or 3 inches lower. And I'm like, oh,
I love that
here we go. Here we
Yep.
go. It's an exciting feeling. But if I was being a little careless, I would miss that. And then a bird's gonna flush, and I'm like, oh shoot, missed that one.
And I think sometimes those dogs can even miss it. But if you see that their tail goes for a minute, but they lose that scent. Whoa, wait, wait a minute. Come back over here, girl.
You can kind of work
together.
together.
This for me. Work this for me. We're a team. And then boom, she'll pick back up on it. And you're like, I'm glad I was watching.
Absolutely. It's a team effort. I mean, I trust the dog way more than myself, but yeah, it's a good point. Any goals you have for this off season with your dog? I think I saw you. Are you doing a little force fetching, or how's that going?
So I'm not. So Tyler with Ringnicks and Retrievers is helping me through some Cornerstone gun dog stuff.
Oh, nice.
And they call it I believe they call it like condition
hold conditioning,
something like that.
Okay.
So basically my dog is great at fetching. She loves to fetch, but she's been dropping the birds like 3 feet from me.
Oh, okay.
She brings them all the way to me, knows I'm going to say release,
like,
and just drops it and is ready to go hunt. And I'm like, well, that little bit of style piece. I'm
sure.
Bring it to me until I say release. So I was talking to Tyler about that, and he said maybe kind of go back to some basics, start with this and work it back up. So admittedly, we've kind of taken a little bit of a break as turkey season is taken over.
It's starting.
But we've kind of gotten to a progression where basically she'll hold the bumper for an extended period of time. And eventually this will transition into me throwing it, her bringing the bumper back to me, holding it until I say release. And then that should transition into the field.
Right on.
As far
as
retrieving.
Is she taken to it well?
She actually has. I know people have mixed opinions on clicker training with treats and things of that nature. She's very receptive.
I love it.
I do too.
Love the clicker.
She's very receptive to food, as many dogs are. And the biggest thing, if anybody is training with a clicker out there right now, the biggest thing if I can give you 2 pieces of advice is if you are taking that next step to something a little more challenging and all of a sudden that dog is not paying attention or isn't interested anymore, switch from like your peanut butter treats to some beef jerky or something like legit, some steak.
Nice.
I guarantee you that dog is going to start doing what you want it to. Change the treat.
Yeah.
I do the same thing on some of the easier stuff. I use cheap things, and then she wasn't kind of doing what I wanted to do, and I was trying to add a few more steps. And then I went out and bought some little steak bites, and
there you go.
Anything for those steak.
Dude.
Anything I asked her.
Oh yeah. You figured out her love language.
Exactly.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah,
I know a lot of people get mixed opinions, and they're like, "Well, how's food going to, correlate to the field?" Well, guess what? I can tell you, my dogs. I have a dog that doesn't hunt as well. They drool the minute you open a human beef jerky package. But my hunting dog, no matter how good beef jerky is to her, a bird of any kind will always be her ultimate reward. That's what she wants.
Way better. That's
and so thing. They're not gonna not want to go get that pheasant because they're not getting that steak treat we're giving them.
Right. I don't think they're correlating that in the field when their drive is up and bird was just shot. They have a one-track mind out there.
Yep.
100%. I wanted to transition a little bit to here's my question. You have a level of enthusiasm, I will say. You've been putting out some fun content out there, some of your Instagram reels, some of your YouTube videos. I think when you shot a deer, something happened. Maybe it was a bird. Dude, you just like went off the rails. You were so excited. Like, yeah, I can't believe it. That's fun to watch, man. And I think sometimes we can take this sometimes a little too serious. So my question,
included.
Yeah. So my question really is just where's that enthusiasm come from? Because it's contagious.
Well, I appreciate that, Will, and it feels cheesy when I'm doing it and when I'm posting it. But the only reason I continue to do it is I get so many people that tell me that same thing. And even though you tell me that, I still think it's cheesy, but I'll do it because it's what people say they want to see.
Sure, it's fun.
But
man. Puts a smile on my face.
That's me, and that's my passion. But I'll be honest with you, it's not all of it because there are so many low points, and maybe I need to get better at posting those low points. But I don't want to be the guy that comes off bitching. I don't want to be the guy that comes off as whining. But I think a lot of my highs come from some of my lows, and that's just like there's a YouTube video I have on my account. It's Sac County. And it might be the one you're referencing to, but I just come unglued when I shot that bird. And that was a culmination of like 2.5 weeks of missing, walking miles, my dog doing everything right and me doing nothing right. And then I finally connected, and I just came unglued. But that passion comes from every time I just love what I do, but every time I shoot a turkey, a pheasant, it's like I did it for the first time. And I don't know why that is. I think for me, I take such pride in the challenge of hunting anything. I mean, in my opinion, if you've shot one turkey in your life, or one deer, one pheasant, you've accomplished something that many people will never accomplish in their life.
So true.
And not only killing something, but just what it takes, Will, as a hunter to do any of that stuff.
So you're talking about understanding the habitat, understanding the dog, the hunting strategy. Like there's so many.
Just being patient.
Being patient.
Sitting there for 2 hours, picking your nose, being bored out of your mind, saying there's nothing here. And then the last 20 minutes, it just all unfolds in front of you.
Absolutely. Dude, that's awesome. No, I love it. Puts a smile on my face every time I see that enthusiasm. I'm like, man, I love it. I mean, I think we all have our thing, you know, when a bird's down or we harvest that game, something inside of us that goes off, but seeing that visible reaction is really fun.
And the one thing I want to, that hopefully comes through with all that is I'm a big kid at heart. I'm 33 years old, but you know what? You don't have to be the hard ass that my dog went on point. It did the right thing. Bring me the bird. Good job. Go hunt again. You know what? That dog is on cloud 9 when it retrieves that bird. Act like a 9-year-old. Good girl. Yeah. Come on. Good girl. I love you.
It's supposed to be fun.
Now. She's getting all excited.
Yeah. She's like, we going hunting?
I have some friends. I tease them. I say, dude, you're such a hard ass. It's like, yeah, good job. Bring me the toy. You did a good job. And I'm like, come on, man. Yeah. I know inside you're proud, and that's like your son.
Right.
Break down and show me how much you really
some emotion.
Care. Yeah.
Just show some emotion.
You don't tell me your first bird dog ever, it's first shot and retrieve, you didn't about freaking get teary-eyed.
Oh my gosh. I took a million pictures, photos.
The proudest moment of your life.
100%. Don't take ourselves too serious, people. That's a takeaway from the night.
And to wrap this section up, to put a bow on it, I challenge you, Will, and everybody else out there, and Tyler with Ring Nights and Retrievers. We've tried to kind of spearhead this. All of you guys, let's get on Instagram. Let's make some of these fun reels. You know, I know these younger kids are on TikTok doing their thing, whatever. But you know what? Let's have some fun in the Upland community. Everybody wants to post their bird dog on point.
Oh, sure.
The tailgate full of birds. You know what? I know your dog ain't as obedient as you try to show that it is. Show me your dog taking off in the backyard after a squirrel or something. It's a normal dog.
Exactly. Or how about last night when our gunner busted through the dog run gate and we thought killed one of our chickens.
Oh shoot.
No, real story. My wife calls me in tears. Kids are all crying in the background, and she's like, babe, I can't find the chicken. Gunner's loose in the backyard. There's feathers everywhere.
I was gonna say she probably saw feathers is what probably triggered her, right?
I'm at work. It was one of my late nights. I'm like, I can't talk right now. I'll call you in a little bit. And so I'm putting these pieces of the story together. She didn't mention blood, and she didn't mention bones. And Gunner's a 31-pound Brittany. I'm like, there's no way he could have ate that thing whole with no blood or bones. So I call her back. I'm like, honey, look under the deck. She's probably scared shitless, and she probably ran under the deck or flew over a fence or something. So sure enough, an hour later, after the dogs are all put away now, here comes, her name is Sunny, the chicken. Here comes Sunny waddling out from under the deck.
She knew where her safe spot was, Sunny.
Oh, 100%. But all that to say, in the moment, I was cussing out my dog. She was cussing out my dog. She's like, get rid of this thing. We're done with it.
Yep.
So there's some moments, funny now, but
and what's so funny about that, Will, is as mad as we are as humans in that moment, that dog is only doing what we've trained it to do, right?
Exactly. He's thinking he did a great job. He flushed a chicken.
But we can't tell the wives that.
No. Oh, I forgot that happened. That was pretty good.
Oh, that's funny. Thanks for sharing that.
No, yeah, no, I love what you're saying, man. Just it's not all about that tailgate photo. Again, I'm just reiterating what you said, but even if you harvest one bird in your life, it's an accomplishment. It's something to be proud of.
And even if it's not on public, I don't want to put so much pressure on that public,
Absolutely.
It's to shoot something flying in general, a duck, a goose, a pheasant.
Yeah.
You should be proud of yourself. Even if you've done that 1,000 times, you have done enough practice to have that skill to do something that's not that easy.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. I got a couple rapid fire questions. You ready for a couple as we close things out here? I don't think we've answered any of these. So, all right, you ready?
Yeah.
If not a Griffon, what is your dog of choice for upland hunting?
Probably German short-haired pointer.
Okay, awesome. What gun are you carrying out into the field with you? If you could just pick one for the rest of your life.
I had a Remington 870 that I loved, but it was a little bit heavy. So this last season, I just switched to a Franke Affinity 3 semi-auto. I like it so far. Carry the rest of my life. I don't know yet.
Okay. Thought I'd try to pin you down there. You shooting 12 gauge, 20? What are you shooting?
12 gauge.
12. Okay. Nice. Let's see. Favorite species of bird to hunt?
So you see how fired up I get when I hunt pheasants, but
that's true.
I'm telling you, there is no high like turkey hunting. I've hunted deer. I've sat in a stand to hear a gobble, to hear a bird come down off a roost, to call it in, to see it fan out and strut in front of your decoy, to then shoot it. There is just no sequence and adrenaline rush like turkey hunting.
Nice. Well, you kind of answered my next question because I was going to ask between deer hunting, turkey hunting, and upland hunting, which would you choose? I think you kind of answer that with turkey.
Honestly, I'd probably go with pheasant because I feel like pheasant offers me more opportunity as far as I'm more learning now that I'm being more exposed to public land. There's a lot of opportunity to hunt public and pheasants in Iowa, where turkey is a great rush. It's a great adrenaline rush and a great process, but it can all end in 25 minutes. Where a pheasant hunt that can go all day.
That's true. You just keep walking, find a new field, and
flush after flush after flush. It just keeps you going.
You keep going. Have you there quail in Iowa?
There are quail. Yep.
You got Bob White's there, right?
Yep.
Nice. And then have you hunted outside of Iowa at all? Or have you just stuck to home state?
So I've elk hunted in Colorado and pheasant hunted in South Dakota one time.
Okay, nice. Right on, man. That's awesome. Well, dude, that's the end of my official rapid fire questions. How can people, if they want to follow along on this journey you're on, follow you on social media, how can they find you, get a hold of you, anything like that?
So I'm Iowa Bird Chaser. I think it's Iowa_Bird Chaser on Instagram. But if you just search Iowa Bird Chaser, there's just one of us out there, fortunately, right now, at least. No gimmicks yet.
There you go.
But if you look me up on there, I'm on there. And then, like I said, YouTube, I post a lot of videos on YouTube. They're a little sporadic with the season. So what I do with my pheasant hunting videos is those just kind of wrapped up. So I don't post those until after pheasant season, which our season wraps up January 10th. And one reason I did that is as a pheasant hunter, I go through a withdrawal myself of not being able to hunt pheasant after doing it for months. So I wanted to be able to maybe put some content out there for fellow upland hunters to where when big thunderstrike, when we all are kind of going through those blues, and especially our dogs are sitting at home licking their wounds and asking us why we're not going out because overnight it literally ends for them like that. We can kind of live through some of those videos. And then my deer hunting videos, I've just kind of post sporadically. And then I'm going to get more turned in this off season to some gear related videos. I'm a big gear junkie.
Oh, nice. Right on.
And I'll be honest, I've wasted a lot of money on gear because I don't find that there's a lot of good review videos out there of guys that have actually used this product. There's a lot of review videos out there of Instagram guys and different guys that are sponsored and will tell you their opinion in quotations.
Sure.
But I want to hear from guys like you and myself that have walked the fields, have used the product. Is it functional? Is it not functional? And so I'm going to kind of be turned on to more of that. But bottom line, if you follow me on Instagram, I post anytime I'm putting videos on YouTube or anything like that. It's all being posted on my Instagram.
Okay.
So you kind of have a heads up of when that's coming. I would like to get into a little more routine and schedule with the YouTube posting, but just in the off season, it's hard to consistently have some videos right now.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, that's awesome. Nick, thank you so much just for your time, some of your knowledge, sharing your journey, and also just a little bit about your bird dog. It's been fun. Just chatting dogs and hunting and getting to know you a little bit more.
Well, I appreciate it, Will. It's been awesome following you on Instagram. I followed you for a while now there on Upland Brits. Of course, I've followed your new channel where you're going to be posting the podcast and stuff at. And, it's just been an honor when you reached out and asked if I'd come on and kind of be a part of your new venture. It was an absolute gonna do it. And
yeah.
And, I just wish all the best of this podcast and anything I can do to kind of help share the word and keep things growing for you.
That means a lot. That really does mean a lot. Thanks. Yeah. Your response was, heck yeah, man. Thanks. Sign me up. So I love it. Really appreciate it. Your time. And I'm sure we'll be talking a lot this off season, and we'll see what happens this fall.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Will.
Thanks so much. Well, that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Nick, and I really look forward to having him back on the show again in the future. Remember, rate and review this podcast, share it with a friend, tag us on social media. This is the Upland Rookie Podcast by Upland Brits.